Good evening, beautiful people, and happy Thankful Thursday. Well, whatever it is that you've done today, I hope that it's brought you nothing but reasons to smile. And if it hasn't, well, you know how it goes. By the time you leave here today, you will have either laughed at me or with me, and I'm okay with both. As you know, I like to bring on people that go with what I stand for, and that is love, hope, and courage. So if you haven't listened before to Lady Bolding, which is myself, and the Pickled Heart Productions, maybe you're new to this. Well, let me introduce you to what we do. We bring you stories that influence love, hope, and courage. So if you're looking for the gossip channel, you may want to keep clicking. I'm not it. But by the end of this program, I hope that you will find something that has inspired you to some degree. Today, I have somebody all the way from Canada. Thank goodness for the internet. Her name is Annie Hardock. I hope that I'm saying that right because it's literally spelled like Hardock. So Annie Hardock, she'll come on and she'll help me out with that because I am really good and specialized in butchering names, just in case you were wondering. Well, in case you haven't heard who she is one of the Asian women who boss up. But it goes deeper than that. You see, Annie likes to also unlock little geniuses with the abacus. She is a children's education expert. She's done it for many years. She's also had 25 years of business experience on the internet. I need you to think about that. 25 years of that. Wow. Talk about an expert. So without further ado, I'm going to bring you Annie Hardock. 1 second, please.
Hello, Amy.
Hi, Annie. So good to see you again. We've been running into each other a lot this week. So,
Thank you so much for the invitation.
so Annie, let's tell them where you're from and where you were born and what number were you in the lineup of your siblings?
Wow. I actually was born and raised in Hong Kong. So I finished high school. I came to Canada for higher education for
Wow.
university. And yes, I am number nine in my family. There's total of nine siblings, and I was the youngest. of the
Nine siblings. Wow.
Nine.
Number nine. Nine's a good number. I like nine. Today's the ninth, right? Look at that. 999. All right.
Nine,
I like
nine, nine.
that. Wonderful. Well, first of all, I know that I'm limiting you because you guys have to know that she has co-authored 4 books. However, I'm bringing you 2 today. So I don't want to shortchange her and not mention them. I am blessed enough, and you can't see it because of the background, to have all 4. So I am thankful, Annie, for I have the signed version, and I'll tell you how you can get your signed versions too and how to order them before the show tonight is over. So first, I want to talk about what led you to yourself, Annie? Was there a change, something that happened in your life that maybe caused you to look deeper into who Annie was? Let's talk about the younger Annie.
The younger Annie. Like I actually have 18 years of each phase of my life, huge change for
Okay.
me. Yes. So do you want to talk about the young Annie?
Let's talk about what made you kind of go inside a little bit deeper. I know that you and I have talked before, and you talked about when you became divorced and you were a
Yes,
single mother.
yes,
What was
yes,
the transition like?
yes. That transition was the most difficult part of my life. Yes. And that happened was like 1998 or so.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
long time. Yes. Well, at that time, yes, the big change was that for me, I'm very what do you call it? Committed to my marriage. So it was like an 18 years long relationship, 14 years married, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was really difficult, like for me, but
Okay.
it totally changed my life. I actually shortly after the separation, actually, I gone into deep depression, like for 3 years, right?
Okay.
Three straight years. And what happened is that through that time, my son was only almost 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, I even though I was secured financially because I was a system consultant and I was having already have my own business,
Mm-hmm.
but that change caused me to wonder what life is about
Okay.
because I thought I had everything.
Right.
We were living on a 10 acres farm, and I had a great like income, and having just like a newborn, like like new baby toddler, um, everything was it looks like perfect to me.
Right.
So when my now his ex
Hmm.
told me that he wanted to separate and divorce, and I just couldn't accept it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but then it did happen, and things I finally accepted it.
Hmm.
So we separated and divorced up by like 1999. It was the divorce, right? But
Hmm.
then I didn't notice I was in depression until my family doctor told me.
Okay.
And she, yeah, recommended me for the psychotherapy. And through the talking, and I started to know that I didn't even know I had postpartum depression. I
Hmm.
think that's what, without the knowledge of all the mental health, that's easier happens. So my son was already 4, but I didn't know. When I had him, I had depression. I just knew that I was easily irritated, being irritated. But throughout that period, and I was wondering what I should do with my life, like, with
Right.
my child, because I just find making the life decision become it's not just my own decision, become it's affecting whatever decision I make, it's going to affect my child.
Right.
So that was important to me, and that was make it more difficult because I am now thinking about someone. Right.
Right.
So what happened was I tried to more on the personal growth, like
Okay.
knowing about myself, right? Uh,
Right.
because I think working, I was actually in the corporate world.
Right.
Even I doing system consulting, it's hardly like it's almost numbing your feeling and everything.
Very
That's
good.
what I noticed when everything, when the divorce came, I just suddenly felt everything.
Right. Right.
Like all kind of emotion came, right? Like whether it's anger, hate, like hatred, right? Like wonder why it happened, right?
Right.
Especially it wasn't me that initiated, and then I just wonder why. What did I do wrong? What did
Right.
I
Right.
do? Right? And also losing hope. That's what I thought. Like I felt a failure.
Right.
I felt like also the marriage. I didn't know I had such a great big response, and I felt like it's a death. I
Right.
that's the same feeling as someone had died. That's how I felt, right? So I felt deeply. But through that transition, the 3 years actually I was in depression, is like I actually refused to even get help except the going through the psychotherapy. I went and do it. Like I think it's because of my son. I thought, well, I need to get him into activities. So the first thing I did was joining the karate because I put him in karate.
Hmm.
That's the first time I just suddenly felt something. Within 6 months, I just thought I knew the purpose, the reason of the life, and that's what the first one of my lots of spiritually inspired poem came
Right.
from that, because all the learning about breathing in
Hmm.
martial arts helped me, and also I started yoga. I think those two, yoga and karate, that's what started
Yes.
my journey of
Yes.
spiritual growth and personal growth.
And that's kind of what brings me to this part. I want people to notice that you made a decision. So you went from basically having this big, wonderful 10-acre, wonderful house. You got your husband, you got your kid, you got this fairy tale type life, right? And
Yes.
and divorce is kind of taboo. So separations are kind of taboo. And this happens to you. You all of a sudden disappear from yourself for a number of years. For a number of years, you just disappear. You just sink, and not you don't even understand that you're disappearing from your own life.
Yeah.
Somebody finally tells you, hey, Annie, I'm shaking you a little bit because there's something going on. Something I found very touching in your story is that you mentioned that you made a decision. And I think this is what people have a hard time doing when they're going through a hard time. You decided to get out of the corporate world, get out of the 9 to 5. And you said, being able to spend time with my son instead of working 9 to 5 job, that 9 to 5 job didn't interest me.
Yeah.
That's huge. So you took a from scratch mindset, not to say that you, of course, didn't have the power within you all along, but maybe you didn't realize how big and powerful you were until after this had happened. So you decide, hey, it says right here, it says, I said, well, you talk about the power of influence. Your son, when he's 15, I believe he wanted a job, right? He said that he wanted to earn some money or something like that. And you told him, oh, we'll get a job, right?
Because actually that he just finished the grade 10, but that year didn't have rep soccer. He normally was in rep
Soccer.
soccer. I
Uh-huh.
said, get a job or do something, because I think the legal age to start working was like 14. Yeah, and he's eligible to start working, right? I said, well, I said, just get a job. But instead of getting a job, he actually just started teaching other kids.
Right. That
Yes.
that's what I was like, wow. So that was the power of your influence, Annie. I think that is so big. You know, we're going to talk later about Annie's voice, but I think about the influence that you had on him. He said he ended up teaching all the neighborhood children about mental math, and we're going to go into that. It's a skill that he learned when he was 6 years old using the abacus, which is an ancient Chinese tool. And later, you know, and I will say that I looked at statistics, and US is really low and behind par on mathematics skills. And so that's why I am hoping that if there's somebody here who is a teacher or maybe wants different insight, that you now offer an online program for this. And I think that that's amazing. So here your son was following your example and saying, I'm just going to go create a business. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, actually, the first time I know that he doesn't really want to work for anyone else was a telephone newspaper, because it just happened that I think he was in grade 9, like high school, because our area, like suddenly, like they don't have anyone, like, you know, to pick up that job of delivering newspaper, right? He
Mhm.
quit within 1 week.
He said, no, it's not for me.
He said no. He's very clear and knowing what he wants, like
Mhm.
since he is little, right? Because he said he wanted to use his mind, his brain to do the work instead of, so that's the type. Like, there's nothing wrong with, like, you know, physical work and other things, but he just preferred using his smart and his brain. So when he was in grade 10, so that's what he loved, and he taught, right? Because all the teachers and every grade that he moved up to, they want him to show this method of mental math, because it's really amazing. And he was trained when he was 6, and that's the perfect age to actually start the training. And it's about 4 to 5 years time to train. And it's amazing. They look like genius, but it is trained,
Yeah.
right? Like because it's not just about math; it's actually building more synapses, like in the brain, more network. I always use the word, like, you know, high speed internet, and back in the 90s, like early 90s, we have the dial up. I think lots of the young people don't know what the dial up
Right.
is. It's just through a phone line, and you wait forever, like, to get connected, right? So, but we are able to train
Right.
children's brain. Instead of a dial-up network in their mind, it's high speed.
Right. No, that's an amazing example. Another thing I really appreciate about this book that Annie is oh, I might say, I was like, wow, my girl Dee Dee Wong's in it and Amy Lynn. I actually knew 3 people in this book, and I was surprised. That's just, you know, how the power of networking is, and that's another thing that you're an expert in. But Dee Dee Wong is doing some big things. Amy Lynn is doing some big things. So a shout out to them, because I think there's some amazing women doing amazing things. Amy Lynn and I actually share the name, just spelt different. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But I like the way that they formatted the book with questions. It was an interview type book. And I really like that, because it's not just a read from start to finish from a bunch of insight. It's actually pulling out different parts of each of the authors. And so I really like this. But one thing that you had mentioned, where you talked, there was a question about COVID, right? And having to reevaluate the way you want your life to be. And you made such a powerful statement in here. You said, by the time he was 23, talking about your son, he had made 6 figures. He's an entrepreneur. Even at a university, he was already making money online. So, I mean, the power of how he continued to grow and walk in doing that. And you mentioned how he always comes up with new ideas. He also got interested in the financial side. So, you guys, did you guys go in business together at any point?
Uh, no, not really. I started the abacus business was because after the summer, I just told him to do like a summer, right, teaching young kids. But then all the parents wanted to continue.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we started looking for location and started uh, a business. But actually, at that time, I was actually partner with actually his abacus teacher.
Wow.
The one that
Okay. Okay.
trained him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were partners. So he was like my son was being a teacher. So we didn't really go into it. Like he's teenager, right? Like all he does is just that 1 hour, like the teaching time,
Right.
right? But
Right.
running a business is more
Yes, it
a
is.
lot of things. So I was the one that doing all the like marketing and administration and
Well, I
everything,
think
right?
that's nice though. So you guys collaborated. You did some stuff. He started it. You kind of finished it. That's nice.
Yes, yes, and but then he started to go into university within like just a couple of years, and he started to to university, which he moved as to Montreal, right? And then he knows like he wouldn't be doing these weekend job or part time job. He's yes, so totally like so I took over and I also trained a
Right.
teacher, right? And this year is actually the 10th anniversary
Right.
of this.
Right. And I
Yes.
wanted to celebrate you on the other business as well. You mentioned something in there. You said, I was struggling with work life balance because of the long daily commute to the city. I thought, this is not living life. For me, it was important to create a type of life that I wanted. So you started an online home based internet business in 96. The company is celebrating 25 years this year. And you were doing things when people were laughing at people when they were talking about online internet businesses, right? They always would be
Oh
like, oh,
yeah, especially in a small town. They say, why do they need why do they need you, right? Like, but I see the potential, right? Because in a small town it's different, right? Because like everyone think that they already know each other. Why do they need the
mm-hmm,
internet, right? But I see it's further. Like it's like not just that time. I just see the future of internet, and that was in '96 when I started the internet-based business, right?
wow.
Yeah, and even I actually for a time like I was selling the internet access because in a small town like we actually had problem with getting just even internet access. There was only one company that doing like services like for
Wow.
internet, like for dial up, right?
Right.
And then there was a big company and they were looking for someone to represent them to sell the internet. I just saw that opportunity and I took it. so
Wow.
yeah, and then because I have the technical background, that's why I just see it's a low cost and I can develop things like over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I always see opportunities when other people like the same with the COVID, right? Like I think you mentioned before about how I pivoted during COVID time. So I think I have that entrepreneurial mind, and then I think my son, yes, I think is who you are around by, like because I raised him as a single parent when he was only 4, and he actually had to go out with me to when I visit client. I have to drag him along, and then also when I built a networking group for a couple of years, I actually have to do it right here in my basement.
Mm-hmm. Which is awesome.
Right.
You
Right.
got yeah.
Yes, yes, because it's difficult to just always have a babysitter or someone. So he actually went out to do lots of hearing all these business talk with me.
Wow. And Annie, you are so wonderful. And you say in here there's a question that was asked to you. And the question was, what advice would you give to another woman who wants to create a lifestyle of her own? She wants to create that and she doesn't know where to start. Where would you tell them to start? Your answer was, the first place to start is to have a very clear vision of the type of life you want to live, and then you work backwards. So now what you have to do, I always say, once you know your end goal, the vision or the type of life, then every small decision that you make becomes very easy. So when I read your story about how you were a single mom and you made that decision, you said, I don't want this 9 to 5 life. I don't want to lose hours in traffic. I don't want to miss moments with my child. I want to be there. You created a vision for your life. And Annie, you have been amazing at following that and creating opportunities. And like you said, celebrating 10, 15 years with one thing, 25 years with another. So um, I think that's a powerful message. And then you mentioned, I'm committing myself to help the existing students to finish their programs, and then I'm going to choose another type. So here you were, you made a commitment for the life that you were living at the time, being a single mother, being with, having to do with the day to day, what a single mother does with your kid with you. Now you're at a point where your child is grown. And I feel like this is so inspirational because Annie, you now are working on new projects. You're now finishing up some things so that you can start new stuff. What is it that keeps giving you that courage?
Because I know my vision. I know what type of life I want. And then, so actually, find people, whether you wanted a corporate job or having a business, they are not really just your life purpose, it's the vision, like what you want to, how you want to live, to live your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you know that, the like whether having a business or working at a job or making money, it's just a vehicle to get you to the type of life that you want to live, right? So that's what the situation when I was a single mom. I just made the commitment that I say, yes, I'm going to raise him as a single parent, and then I am going to have as much time as possible to bring him to all the activities. That's why I chose the internet platform. So by choosing what type of business I'm going into was because I know I can live that type of life. At that time, 96, I already knew that internet is 24/7. I can work anytime I want. Right. So that's why I chose that platform. And then I start thinking, okay, what kind of content and things that should I be putting in? And then I just thought, I'm new to this community. I have no idea what this new town was like. Like, how did he know anyone? No, didn't know anyone actually when we first moved here. And to start this business, but because I know my vision, what type of life I want. I want a home-based business, give me the flexibility and being able to take my kid. And if my kid is sick on that day, I don't have to just put him in the thing. Do you know what? I had the doctor told me, okay, he has pink eye or whatever. Do you work? Do you need to take a day off?
Uh-huh.
If you don't want to take a day off and you have to go back to your work, we'll give him antibiotics. Otherwise, just go home and just take care and it will take care. I said, I work from home. I can do him without taking the antibiotics. But it is like hearing it from the doctor. I just thought, oh, there is an option.
Right.
So it is like to me as a parent, I just feel, why would I choose the other way if there is an option? You choose what's the best for your child. So I think when you are clear of what type of life you want to live with, then you create, like whether you get a job or you create your own business, it's because you want to live that life that you want to live in. So like right now, my son already, I'm empty nest. So he already moved out 3 years ago. That's when I like what you read in that chapter about me thinking about the next phase of my life. Like, because initially I was thinking about the abacus business. I had it for like close to 10 years at that time when my son moved out. And then I just thought, well, it's a long commitment, right? Like, because our program is like 4 to 5 years minimum. Some take even longer. And I just thought, well, I'll wait until all of them graduated and slow down, and then I will close. Because the type of work that I want, I could tell you, I wanted to travel. Right? Because having my son, I raised him first as a single mom, and there's lots of other restrictions, and so the type of life that I want. So I was thinking, like, what type of life? And my mom, like, and lots of my family members still lived in Hong Kong, right? I just say, wow, I love to, go back and visit, and then or like travel around the world. That's what the type of life. I said having a physical location is not allowing me to do that. So that's what's already in the plan a few years ago. But then COVID came.
Yeah.
And I haven't finished. Like my lots of quite a few of my kids that just my students, they just finished like graduating last year. So and then I suddenly, when it opened up to online, like, well, I have to pivot, like online actually initially was just teaching the existing students,
Mm-hmm.
because my mind was still thinking, oh, I just finished like teaching them and that. But then I just start seeing the opportunity, and then I just start thinking, oh, with the internet access, I can actually be in another country, I can
Mm-hmm.
still help
Do
people.
what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah.
So I just thought, oh, actually, I still have a lot of passion about teaching kids and helping them, just seeing
Right.
the impact that I have for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I just thought, well, now when it's open up, I can actually help more children, right? Instead of just a physical location. Actually, I have parents that drive about 45 minutes. That's the
Wow.
furthest that they will come, like every week, right? Me. And suddenly I just see the opportunity. Like me, I always see opportunity. I think that's when I I said
Sure.
that will satisfy the type of life that I want, and also a fulfillment, being able to help children.
Yeah.
So I made that commitment. I just saying, yes, I'm going to, expand this online. So in actually just a year ago, yes, now enrollment time. That's when I started to enroll a new student. So
Right.
that means I'm continuing instead of shrinking it, like, not taking any more students. That's what's before I was thinking, with the location, maybe I'll round it down. But instead
Right.
I tried to expand. And the more I work on it, and then the more I feel like that's actually my purpose for
Well,
the.
I know that it's beneficial, and like I said, the U.S. our math rates are down compared to other countries. But you mentioned also in your book that this was powerful to me. To me, as an entrepreneur and somebody who is also living their best life, and somebody who's trying new avenues and knocking on new doors and growing in ways that maybe we don't know how and which way, but we keep going forward because, like you said, we see what we want, and so we keep going. You said, so remember, you might be talking to the wrong audience. And prior to that, you were talking about how some people may not get you, or they might tell you that's wrong, or they might tell you that's the wrong direction. And so it was a good reality check of like, okay, it's not about, it being wrong. It's just maybe you're not in front of the right audience. Did that happen to you? Did you have an experience where maybe, you had to switch gears or go with a different audience?
Oh, yeah, I can give you an example. Because I lived in a town that very like maybe a handful of Asian, like a very small in the population,
Uh-huh.
right? So the culture is different, right? Like the Asian culture versus the Western culture, and the method that we use for the abacus is actually a Chinese, like, ancient calculation tool.
Right.
But there is discipline because we're developing a skills, so it does require practice,
Mhm.
right? But lots of I guess for academic, it's not everyone's thing, like, about practice, like,
Right.
rigorously. Like, I don't care even when it is a sports, like you see some kids, they just come for the competition and but not come for the practice, like for soccer,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So it's the commitment in that excellence of the success. So when I started to do enrollment online, I just noticed, like, who I attract.
Right.
It's the type of parents just want more. It's not that they come when they're struggling.
Right.
They actually wanted to invest in the long time, in the future learnings of their child, right? It's invest in their child's future learning, right?
That's big. That's
That's
really big.
a huge difference. So normally my summer is hardly have a student continue in the summertime, in when I have the physical location.
Hmm.
This is the year that's when I'm just more busy, like in the summer. So I noticed then it's the like who are am I attracted
Uh-huh.
to with this type of program. So it's
Right.
the parenting style, and sometimes it's a lot in the cultural influence, right?
Right.
So it helps to learn It's nothing wrong. Like the other, like just like some would need more education to explain to the parents why, like it's good to
Right. Staying
have
focused.
your kids like
Mhm.
in advance of learning.
That's
It's we actually really strong in building the foundation of mathematics, right?
mhm.
This is strong foundation skills, which I see like over the past 10 years, especially. It's like losing the basic. I can have like a 10 years old on this, like just 5 plus 4, please, and then they just keep counting the fingers. Like it's just like within weeks, I can teach them like even adding series of numbers in their mind without using any tool, right? So it's something easy to fix, but you know how it damage like really. I say I use the word damage maybe a lot, but it's like losing the confidence. I
Yeah.
just find when children lose their confidence in math when they are young,
Right.
right? And
Yes.
how do they expect them to get attracted like to math, right?
They'll
Uh,
run from it. I did. I'll run from it, from math. No, you're right. If you don't have that, and we talked about this on a personal note where I told you, like, okay, well, do you do it for adults too? Because for to be able to, maybe there was this level of math like we didn't get, and you want to start from scratch. And I learned that because of my life story and how it was different, and how I went to school later, and how there was all those gaps because of my foster care, and there was all those, I was more interested in surviving than I was actually learning math. So to have had an Annie Hardock who was there for me, who I could have learned from and just kept growing, like you said, it's a 4-year program. And to be able to make me confident in math, I may have been an astronaut instead of who I am today. Who knows, because I wouldn't have been so
Yes,
afraid.
this is about future, right? Like it's investing now with your child is for the future, not
Right,
just fixing something that they now have a problem, even though we can, but
right, right,
just do it. Yes, and also our method is totally different than just instead of using the logical side, we actually move
right,
everything. So it's like an abacus is all made of wire and beads, right? Like so,
right,
when the child like doing the mental math, they actually instead of seeing numbers in their mind, they actually see the movement of the beads that moving, right? So become pictorial, and it is like it's a like large amount of information that they can process. So by the end of like their training, it,
right,
the amazing, like say I give you an example, is 3 digits times 3 digits, say 124 times 253 or whatever the number, right?
okay,
That look enormous. I don't know how to do it, but when they're trained, they're not seeing numbers. That's why it's possible for these kids that finish our program being able to. But you see the capacity that they have in their brain to
right,
process the amount of information.
right,
That's from practice and building that network,
right.
strong network. So they are very fast in response time, which I witnessed. My son, oh my God, when he's seeing all those numbers just flying, like to me, I just said, yes, like he doesn't know that it is through the training because he started training when he was 6, right?
Right.
So that's the normal to him, right?
Okay.
Like when
Mhm.
when he does it that way. But there are lots of children being trained because my business partner been doing this training for 25 years, right?
Wow.
Long time.
Hmm.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned in your book, on page 22, it says, I have a step by step guide to transform your child into an eager and engaged learner in 3 simple steps. It's free. Okay, let me repeat that to you guys. It's free to download at Easy Math with Kids. Okay, here
Okay.
is the guide. Let me see here. Is that the correct place, Annie?
Yeah, now we have a pop-up. It's yes. Instead of confusing people, I have the free guide is actually at easymathforkids.net. But when they go to the .com, the first thing it popped up
Okay.
is the .net. They can,
All right.
yes, yes.
Well,
The
I
free
didn't.
step. Oh, it's more than just the guide.
What is
Actually,
it? Tell me about it, Annie.
so besides they getting the 3-step process, how I actually help to engage, right? Like children, it actually has a free like a trial class. I recorded the video so they see the process of how I implement those 3 steps to engage children. Actually, in that trial class on the video, there's a 6 years old, 10, and 11.
Okay.
And I train them like just actually that's the amazing part of our program. Instead of the traditional school, they
Right.
teach in by the grade. I can
Right.
have like 6 years old, 10 and 12 in the same class and
Okay.
teaching at the same time,
Hmm.
right? And also we have our own a system that allowed them to do their exercise, and it's individualized at their own pace. So there are online exercise for them to do as well. But it is that tricks of how do you engage children
Right.
so the older one doesn't feel bored, like you're
Right.
talking to 6 years old, and the 6 years old doesn't get lost when
Right.
they're training the 10, right?
Mhm.
So there's skills like to do that. So that's why I call now myself virtual education expert, because it's been at least like 17 months that I've been doing this. And I know you cannot, like, what happened to the school system? Like, you can't just take a teacher like without, oh, now you just teach it on Zoom or something, right?
Right.
But how do you do the engagement? That's
Right.
the problem, right? If the kid's not interested and not engaged,
It's
you're not. And I heard so many teachers saying, well, they actually don't see the kids because they don't turn their camera on, right?
oh, okay.
A
Yeah.
teacher grade 8, I think they said like maybe 3 or 4 that turn on the camera, but they
Uh-huh.
cannot force, right? Like them to turn it on,
Right.
right? Yes. So it's the engagement. Like, so that's why I'm just saying what failure, like I really don't want like, parents or others to see how awful it is with the online learning virtual, but you need that skill set to be able to engage children, especially the young one. I actually have children like I said, young as 4 years old, right?
That is good.
Being able to
And
teach.
so again, you guys, there it is down here. It's easymathforkids.net. I did want to go over your quote here. It says, being able to create the type of life that I want. That's a success to me. And I think that is the greatest measure of success, is being able to create and live the type of life that you want. So I think that that was so spot
Yes,
on.
if you want money, that's your life, that's fine. But
Right.
that's the vision, like of success is what type of life, right?
Right.
Some might just feel that they're still not happy with the money.
Hmm.
And what type of life you want? Like basically,
Right.
what type of life do you want? Like for me, is I need both like achievement and fulfillment. I need to
There you
feel
go. Achievement, fulfillment.
fulfilled, like I like feeling that I have a purpose of
Right.
doing something.
Right.
And to me, even success is like, even I have my own business, is like being able to delegate things that I don't want to do to
Hmm.
someone else. That's already a good start for me. When I first started my business, being able to pass all my like bookkeeping stuff, like for years I've been doing all those things, which like things that I don't want to do, being able to pass it,
Pass
delegate
it
to
on.
someone else.
No, that's a sign of success, to be able to say, I was here and I had to be everything. Now I'm going here. So that means I'm trending upward. There's a level of success that can be measured by delegation. You're absolutely correct. So you guys, this book, Asian Women Who Boss Up, it is a very inspiring book. Again, I know three. Ironically, once I got it, I realized, wow, I know three authors in here. I'm cooking. But three very wonderful, very powerful, courageous, and inspirational women, amongst many others that are here. I'm not taking from other people who are in this book, but I know personally that the stories that are shared by the ones that I know are heartfelt, and you should get it. I mean, it's really important to get things that keep inspiring you, because if not, sometimes life can get a little bland. The other one I want to, before I run out of too much time, because I do want you to be able to talk to us about how to contact you, what you're doing now, and what's up and coming. The other book here was Awakenings. Yeah, I get confused in the camera. There you go, Awakenings. And it is stories of growth, healing, and magical transformation. This book is also very beautiful. It goes over many stories. And you talk about, there was a time in your life, you're in chapter 3, and it talks about an uncharted path, and you talk about music re-entering your life, and you begin playing the piano again, which you had given up 20 years before. So I'm here to tell anybody and everybody who's out there that may have stopped doing something that used to bring them joy, or something that used to make their feet feel light and their soul feel full, that you can go back to that piano and touch those keys again. You can pick up that guitar. You can, try to go on that long walk or go fishing or do whatever it is. So, what was that like for you, Annie, when you were able to touch those keys again and start playing piano? Can you tell us what happened inside?
Inside. That was a lot. That was shortly after the divorce, right?
Mhm.
And actually, before the divorce, my son was in piano. But
Mhm.
yeah, I can't really remember the time frame, like just around that time. But I I think it's the emotions that just I actually told you that I was in depression, right?
Right,
I just need to find a relief
right,
from the thoughts. I actually have obsessive thoughts at that time, right? Because it's all these negative feelings, right? And I was finding ways, and then one thing was like about like starting writing journal. But then the next thing I noticed is like about piano. I still have the upright like piano with me, and then I started at first is like playing something that I love that I remember,
okay.
right? And
Mhm.
because that was easy. And then I started putting my son in. It's called Suzuki piano, like which you because he was too young to start reading, like he doesn't know his letter yet, right? That's before kindergarten, almost. And so then I just thought when I started playing, and then I just thought, wow, I can actually not thinking about other things that really upset me.
Yes.
So I was to a point. I think I remember one time. I think it was just playing bark. Just the finger, like doing these techniques.
Right.
And I was sitting there, and then I find out I was. It was 5 hours. Five.
Wow.
I played nonstop because I was trying to escape from those thoughts that I didn't want. And then I start telling myself, okay, I knew that I was obsessed with something. And
Right.
then I would say, well, it's better to be obsessed with the piano than obsessed with these negative thoughts.
Yep.
That was the only way out. I felt at that
Mhm.
time was just keep playing. Then I don't, yeah. And I think that's how I got into music. And then also when I started playing the piano at that time, when like after the separation, what
Mhm.
I felt was that, oh my God, it was so different than when I was a teenager and playing piano. Because at that time when I was teenager, more likely it's just more the technique.
Right.
Now it's like I have the emotion. I felt it,
Right.
right? So that's a very powerful. And then it's just started. Magic happened. I started composing song.
Wow. That is what I wanted to say to somebody out there who may feel like they can't get away from their thoughts sometimes. I encourage you to engage in something that takes you away from it. And sometimes it might be a 5 hour session, sometimes it may be something, but it takes you to somewhere creative and it takes you to somewhere that's healthy. Because to stay in your mind like that and to stay in your thoughts that just run you ragged and you go get lost down the what if trail or start, coming up
Yeah.
with scenarios in your head, it can be a dark place. So now you start playing the piano that you had once played 20 years ago, started composing and writing, and you wrote a song, and it's just a beautiful story and a beautiful. I am so glad to share that. You guys look into Awakenings. It's really good. It does tell a lot of stories. Um, it's important to read stuff like this because sometimes it will introduce you to avenues or ways that can take you somewhere more positive instead of maybe somewhere not so positive. So I'm glad that you shared that. You guys don't forget Asian Women Who Boss Up. I do want to tell you where to get this stuff. If you go to anniesvoice.com, right, Annie?
Yes.
If
Yes.
you go to anniesvoice.com, you can get books. And what else is on anniesvoice.com? What else is on there?
Well, you can get like all 4 books, right? Besides the Asian women who boss up, and also I would personally sign them and ship it to you.
That is pretty amazing.
Yes. And actually, Annie's voice is actually going to transition branding into all the 3 major
Uh-huh.
things that I'm doing. And it's all about expression,
Mhm.
transformation, and
Oh,
expansion.
mm,
Right?
that's big.
So in those three areas, so watch for it. And it's because like I said, the personal growth is really important to
It is.
me, part of my life. And I have actually written more than dozens of spiritually inspired poems during the period that when I was in my depression. um, and I Annie's voice is one of those that let that voice coming out with
Mhm.
all those insights, because I feel that I was guided to how I raised my son. That was a very private, personal journey. Like that, what the poems has guided me,
Mhm.
and also the music that I composed. And actually, one of the poems that's in the Awakenings
Mhm.
book,
Right.
when it was published just about 3 years, 2 years ago, I just thought because then I look at the poem and I saw another new insight. I say, what am I searching for? So the next phase of my life, the answer is right in the poem, right? It answers. So every time I read about these poems, it come with those new insights.
Wow.
That's why I just felt that it was inspired. Like that's how they come. Like that's why I want to let other to share with the others about these poems. And
Wow.
that's just what Annie's voice is going to allow. Actually, allow me, allow myself to express what's in me. Yeah.
Right.
Everything where Helen, like you see this beautiful mural,
Mhm.
it's been painted like 20 years ago, right in my basement. But like I said, I started the business in '96, and
Mhm.
when I go through my depression, actually that's when these murals started. Like I got painted in '99, when shortly after the divorce.
Mhm.
There are six murals, but they so inspired. Like that's when all the spiritual inspired poem and music
Mhm.
uh, came out.
Wow.
Yes, and it's ready to be released shortly under Annie's voice,
That's
and that's what
yeah.
it's coming.
Okay. So, are you still for Easy Math for Kids? Are you still taking enrollments for kids, or are you trickling that down, or are you still taking kids? Like, if somebody had a kid that
One, we're going to, you know what? My new mission is to deliver high quality, affordable, and accessible education to children around the world.
there you
Right?
go.
Because once I saying about education, and I started attracting other educators who also want to make changes, not just math, right? The others could be like, or in like emotional, social learning, or
Mhm.
like in literacy. The others. I just started to attract others
Right.
to come together. Actually, I formed an education advisory board just in January of this year. So yes, I'm just getting excited now. I found my life purpose, and I know I'll be able to help like help children to pick up, like unlock their genius within
Yeah,
them, right?
I love
It-
that. Mhm.
so that's what I'm being called to do.
I love that unlocking the genius because a lot of times it is locked up in there somewhere, and maybe it is being afraid of math that keeps a lot of kids from going further in science or engineering or somewhere they could really go. So, Annie, I'm thankful for what you do because I was one of those people or kids. I say people, but I guess I'm still not a math genius. But I was one of those kids who I feel like if I would have been better with math, I could have went further in certain things. But so I'm thankful for what you do. I'm also thankful for the contributing portions you did in these books because you are an amazing woman who endured a lot of things, but you show women and anybody for that matter. Just as I say this, I'm talking about women because that's who we are, and I can relate to that. As far as being a single mother and saying, I have a dream to be home with my son and to endure whatever I need to learn what I need to figure out what I need to. And not only were you trying to figure out how to be a single mother, you are also learning how to come out of depression. So you had some amazing hurdles that you were able to not just get over, not just learn from, but to give back so that people who may be going through something can see that, hey, they can do it. So I appreciate that. Any closing words, Annie, for the audience today?
I think the inner journey is very important,
Mm.
which not necessarily everyone look into. But I think like through my experiences, what I puts inside, it showed outside, and it also affect those that's around you. And that's what I see the influence. I think it's because of raising my son that I know is how it would impact him. Based on what I do or what I say. How I react emotionally, my emotional state affect his emotional state, especially when they're young child, right?
Mhm.
Like children. So I learned a lot. So instead of trying to fix anyone else around you, your husband, your student, like teacher, like everyone, just look inside and work on your own, and then it will impact the others when we are being optimistic and being happy, being peaceful,
Yeah,
because your peace affects someone else's peace.
very much so. Very much so. Well, Annie, thank you for coming and thank you for saying yes to the interview. I'm going to put you backstage and I'll close out with the audience and I'll see you in just a minute. Thank
Thank
you
you.
again, Annie. Well, you guys, there you have it. Annie Hardock from Canada. Um, I think she said some major things. One was if we just teach our children ahead of the curve, I'm paraphrasing, but if we just teach our children ahead of the curve, we equip them instead of trying to do emergency teaching and catch up work and trying to create a desire to learn. But if we just add a little bit of a bonus to them by deciding to invest in things like math and math learning and something that not just helps with math, but also trains the brain and the mind, I'd say that's trending in the right direction. So I did put the information down there if you're interested, or maybe you know somebody, or maybe you're a teacher and you want to collaborate because maybe you too have a dream of making education something different than what it is. Annie's a very awesome person. I collaborate with her on a few different platforms. And the other thing is, no matter what it is that you're going through, whether you're a single mother, a single father, whether you're just somebody who the road is getting long and it's getting tough right now, one thing that was mentioned was see what you want for your future. Keep looking ahead, and it makes decisions a whole lot easier. And that makes a lot of sense. What is it that you do want for yourself? What is it that you see for yourself? Not including all the external circumstances and all the things, leave those factors out. But what calls you? What is it that you have inside of you that won't let go? That vision for your future. Just take hold of that and keep moving forward. Well, God bless you. Have a wonderful night. And thank you for all those that tuned in. I hope you've received something from tonight. And I'll see you next time. Make sure that you tell yourself at least 2 times a day, I can, I will, and I am so worth it. Yes, you are. Thank you for coming.